so wonderful to have you all here with us. Happy Friday, happy October. I don't know about you guys, but I am blown away by the fact that we are already in October. This year has just flown by and we're already kind of getting into the holiday season. So it's wonderful to get to be here together. I hope that you're all having a wonderful start to the month. I hope that you're each having a great week, that our community, with all of this kind of natural events that have been happening in the world, that everybody is staying safe and healthy and happy. We are here to do another Quantum Jumpstart Q&A. If you've joined us before, welcome back. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We do these sessions every other month with Maria. Maria is a meditation assist at Dr. Joe Dispenza's events all over the world. She's NCS certified, HeartMath certified, has been into the work for over 10 years and is an absolute wealth of knowledge. So we do these sessions so that we can kind of come together in community and get our questions answered and keep each other accountable and grow and evolve and continue to deepen our understanding of this ever evolving work and process that we're all in. So with that being said, we sent out an email a couple weeks ago with an opportunity to submit questions ahead of time. So what we're going to do today is, if you have a question that you want answered on the live call, please raise your hand. In the bottom middle of your screen, there's a button to raise your hand under the React function. So if you press React and press raise hand, that's how we'll go and call on people today. And then we'll alternate doing live questions with me reading ones that were pre-submitted for people that might not have been able to hop on the live call. So that's kind of how today's session will go. We're going to finish it up with Dr. Joe's Generating Joy meditation. We thought, when better to generate some joy than heading into a weekend? So we'll prime ourselves to have a really restorative and joyful weekend, and that'll kind of be our session today. It'll be about 75 minutes, give or take, and it's so special to have you all here with us. So since we sent out a list of questions to be answered ahead of time, from the questions that we've been getting, we have a general tip that we wanted to share with the community for any challenge, opportunity, or experience you may be facing. So without further ado, I kind of wanted to pass it over to Maria to share that tip with our community.
Thank you, Sophia. And it's so lovely, so special to see each one of you, wherever you are. I see all these little backings wherever you are in the world. So very, very grateful to be here with you all. And as another student of this work, I wanted to give this tip, and I believe that it is so important because we have many challenges in our life. We have many challenges. Beyond that, then we had a hurricane that hit exactly where I am right now this week, and I could see how I was struggling. I was not being able to be greater than an environment. How can you be greater than something that is moving at a category 4 or 5 and it's heading your way? So that took me to this place of, starting with the basics, which is, how can I create? And that starts with a very coherent heart. So I wanted to share just 3 steps in order to get into coherence, in order to get your heart into coherence, because I believe that's all we need to do for anything. And the first one is awaken the heart. How do we awaken the heart? By placing our attention there, in the heart, in the chest area. That's the first one. Then the second one is slowing down our breathing, slowing down the pace, breathing a little bit slower, a little bit deeper than usual. And I was struggling with that. I noticed that. And then the third one is producing some elevated emotion. Just doing that and thinking outside of our box. What can actually make me feel good about something? And data shows that when your heart starts breathing, starts beating with those 3, after those 3 steps, it's going to start beating at a more orderly manner. And that means it's going to get coherent. And a coherent heart is going to send a signal that is way more coherent. It's going to send a message to the brain that is way more coherent. So now you have a coherent heart and a coherent brain. And when your brain is coherent, you are coherent. So that's the tip.
Thank you for sharing that, Maria. It's a perfect foot to kick us off on today. And for our first question, let's go to one of the live ones. Zach, if you would like to come up and ask your question.
Unmute yourself, Zach.
Yep.
There you
All
go.
right. Hey. So it's kind of a question slash, I don't know, guidance or strategy. So just got back from the Nashville event, and just like the other events before, like while there, obviously everyone's operating real high and everyone's coherent, and the breath is real easy, meditations, everything's flowing, and I'd get back to the room at night and practice breath, and then things would be happening. Coming back into normal life, there's that energetic like drop off where everything's like, it's almost kind of like, I don't know, like once I started doing the meditations again, I was kind of like, what's going on here? Because everything was slow. The breath feels like I'm pulling it out of mud sometimes. So like, guidance, strategy, thoughts on that?
Thank you, Zach. And I believe everyone that has been in an event with Dr. Joe, we all experience that. A strategy. What I would say is, and I believe one of the most important things in this work is that we have to give meaning to what we are doing. We have to be very clear on what we want from this work. Because when you are very clear on that, then the outcome is going to be greater, and it's going to have a greater effect in your life. So yes, you're back in your environment, in your job. I know a little bit about you in particular. But then what is your intention? If you can remember what was your intention when you came to Nashville, when you made the decision to become a student of this work, what was that intention? Then you're going to have that intention as your North Star. Because of course, it's way more easy to forget what your intention is than to remember. And that's what the work is about. And then the other part of that, as the second component in this guiding strategy, Zach, is just show up. Just show up. Yes, you're pulling the mud from where you are. It doesn't matter. Just show up one day at a time.
All right. Thank you.
You can do it.
Perfect. So for the next question, I'm going to go to one that we had submitted. And the question is, I am angry over the slow pace of my personal transformation. There's always another piece to the puzzle, another blockage to deal with. Is anger itself an obstacle to realization? Is there any insight you can share on how to see anger as an obstacle, or at least to cool the flames of this desire to speed up my own personal transformation process, so I can live in joy, not anger, and come from gratitude for the growth that has been accomplished to this point?
Okay, thank you. Anger, sadness, the same as joy and as love, they're just emotions that we experience in our body, and emotions are chemicals in our body. When we observe, when we become the observers of our own biology, then we start noticing what are the thoughts that are driving those feelings and those emotions around anger that make that we actually feel in our body. Where do we feel that in our body? Usually when I'm angry, I feel it in my gut. Then when you become the observant of that, I always say this with the in front of the communities that we work with. In some way, emotions are cowards, because in the moment you start observing them, they start fading away. We just need to face them. We just need to acknowledge them. We need to breathe through them. Because if we do not do that, they will remain, they will live under the carpet. And we just feel the way we feel, and we don't know what to do with that. But if you take if you make a pause and you observe that emotion, then back to Zach strategy. What's your intention? If your intention is joy, if your intention is happiness, then you have to start practicing. How does that person actually think? Noticing how does that person walk? How does that person speak? And start practicing that without stumbling back into the past you. The past us is always struggling with those emotions, and it's okay. We just have to be human to feel feel anger. That's all we need to do. So by creating this new version of us that actually fulfills that vision, that dream, and stepping on that version of us every day, the more we do that, one day that thought is going to become the experience. And then we're going to start feeling those emotions naturally, organically. And then we become more of that and less of this past version of us. And that's a never ending work. It's a full-time job, I would say.
I think that's such a powerful piece of advice, and it makes me think of the quote, "What you resist persists." So it's like when you resist something, you give it power over you, but when you can kind of surrender to it and have compassion for that part and know that it's not all of you just because it's surfacing, like you said, it may be something that's surfacing in that moment, but it doesn't mean that you aren't well on the path of transforming and creating that future and that life that you really desire.
Beautifully said. Exactly. Exactly.
Next up, let's invite Annie to come on and have her question answered.
Hi. I've been doing this work like about 18 months, and then in the last probably about the last couple of months, I've been moving energy, and I can be during my waking day, I can be out somewhere, and then I just feel like this massive surge of energy that just comes up, and it is crazy because a lot of the time I don't know what to do with it, and then other times I'm just like grinning for no reason. But it's just, yeah, this mass. It's just like a huge surge of energy, and it just comes up, and I don't know. Is it something that I'm doing wrong? Is it something that should happen? I'm just like, I just need a bit of help with it, please.
Thank you, Annie. Wonderful experience that you're having, I see. And you know, energy moves in a very chaotic way. We cannot control energy, but what we can definitely have a grasp on is on our body, because we have to learn, or we have to practice how to master our body. Now, what I'm hearing, you started this work not long ago, and you are experiencing this massive movement of energy. Now, let me ask you, when you started this work, Annie, why did you start doing this? What was your calling, or what made you get into this work?
Um, I wanted to. I'm healing. I'm healing 2 autoimmune diseases. I've healed my back. It's really strange because parts of my body have healed, and then other parts are just a little bit slower. But that was my reason. And to change, I always knew throughout my life there was a better way to live. I was never one of these that, my mum used to say, you've got to get a job, and then you got to work, you get a mortgage, and then you get kids, and I always hated it. It was like, no, that's not me. There's got to be another way. And I ended up doing all of that corporate stuff, and I'm being really miserable. And my son will tell you, like, a couple of years ago, I was probably super angry, really miserable,
Hmm.
and I could hardly move. And like now,
Oh my God.
it's totally different.
Okay, wonderful. So I think what we should do, and this is, I am just a partner with you on this, is what if we kind of channel that energy to your energy center or to the energy centers that you need in order to give more coherence, to produce like a way more orderly, let's say, energy in those areas where you need to be healed, or where you want to be healed. So with that, I would practice, first of all, blessing of the energy centers. Those meditations, and there are already like 11 or 12 in Dr. Joe's offer. The BOTEC, the blessing of the energy center meditations, they produce physiological changes in the body. And if you're experiencing that energy moving, you need to send it where it needs to go. And then the other part of it, if it doesn't feel very comfortable to be outside and start moving that energy, well, then I would put more effort while you are in your home doing that meditation or those meditations, so that the energy really works for you, not makes you feel awkward out there in the, in the subway or in the bus station or wherever you are. That's one important thing. Then the other, because I also heard that, and probably everyone of us here share that, we believe that there is a better way to live. So if you can also bring, when you feel it outside, if you bring that energy all the way to the heart, and then you can, let's say, okay, if there's a better way for me to live, what if there's a better way for all of us to live? So maybe you start radiating that energy from the heart to the place around you, to the city, to the country, to the continent, to, so in a way, we start experiencing what's it like to be more whole and less separate, and to be more part of this greater good. And maybe that's going to make you feel pretty awesome, and your energy is going to serve like a greater good.
Okay, nice. I will try that.
Deal?
Okay, I do
Okay.
BOTEC every morning.
Awesome.
I do, yeah, I do that every morning. And I had the other morning, like energy was moving up my back, and I thought my heart was going to stop. So I panicked, and of course it all stopped. But
A very
yeah,
important thing.
it's intense, isn't it?
And a very important thing for you, Annie, for everyone here. When we're doing this and it feels awkward or it feels weird, it's good, because it means we are stepping on the unknown, and our brain is like trying to figure out what's going on there. So it's okay. If it feels pain, then we have to stop. But if it feels awkward, I think we are on the right path, because we are here to unfold into something greater. And it's totally unknown to us. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Another thing that I would say, maybe you practice the meditation in the evening. So whatever energy you build, then your body is going to have enough time to rest, to repair, to restore. Your nervous system is going to enjoy all of that energy that you're putting together while you're asleep. So that's another thing that just came to my mind.
Okay.
Next up, I wanted to go to two questions that go together that we received ahead of time, and they're both kind of on the note of fear. The first one is how to distinguish intuition from fear. And the second one is, I understand that the absence / opposite of love is fear. I'm trying to overcome myself, and I have an intense history of dis-ease in the body. I realize that it is a manifestation of the feelings of fear. I'm struggling with brain and heart coherence, and my body throwing the book at me in terms of fear. Fearful thoughts, the edge of panic attacks, inner voice offering self-doubt. So instead of brain and heart coherence, there are three at play: brain, thoughts, heart, feelings, and fear. It presents itself as separate, perhaps being too programmed, too much of a default feeling. How do you advise as to how I can work through this?
Great. Okay. In a few, let's say, bullet points. First, let's all remember that thoughts are the language of our brain and feelings are the language of our body. And how we think and how we feel is what creates our state of being. In other words, it's what creates our reality. When I hear that question from this beautiful student, what I see is that this person is in a lot of stress. This person is living in survival. And we cannot think greater than how we feel. So when you find yourself in such a state, or when you find someone close to you in such a state, and you tell that person, it's okay, it's not okay. Because that person is immersed in that reality. So that's the first thing. Second, how can I distinguish intuition from fear? Our brain is electrochemical in nature. And when we perceive a danger or a threat outside of us, our brain waves, they go all the way up to beta or to high beta. When we are in that brainwave state, all the voices and the chatter that we are hearing in our heads, they're just related to survival. And then you start thinking, where do I need to go? Do I need to evacuate? Where do I hide? Or I'm just going to stand and fight for this. I'm going to send this ugly message. I'm going to call this person. I'm going to slam the door on that person. And all of my biology is in that state of fear. That's my reality. Now, when you're in your heart and you're relaxed and you are in that state, in that elegant state, in the present moment, and there is a message, that we can call it intuition, but it has to come from the heart. It's not the voice in your head while you're anxious or while you're worried or while you're running. I would say we should not pay attention to those words in order to make decisions. And I experience this all the time. I am about to write an email. If my blood is like pumping or boiling, I just take a pause. I get up, I walk, I go, I grab a cup of tea, and then I come back. And I start seeing, even I start seeing the words differently. So I would say two things. We need to disrupt our own biology, either going out and walking, doing a walking meditation, calming our body. We need to calm the body in order to start overcoming ourselves. And then we need to get into a more coherent state, heart and brain, as we already shared.
Something that's standing out to me that I'm hearing you say as well is, like, it can be so valuable, at least in my experience, to recognize the power in being aware of your own emotions that are coming up. Because if you're about to write an email and you're feeling angry and you recognize that anger, that in and of itself is a split from the past self, because you're a different person than the one that would have automatically reacted that way. So even if you're having that come up, but if you're having the awareness around it, like, give yourself props for the whole thing, because that in and of itself is a sign that you are changing, at least in my experience.
And you know, there's always something that I hear Dr. Joe says that it always like kind of, I'm like, I don't get you. I do not agree with you when he says, give me the next challenge. I'm ready for the next challenge. But I'm starting to get there, because let me tell you something. When you start practicing, mastering yourself, even in the moment that is so not fair for you to really master, and for you not to react, and for you not to feel as the victim of your environment or of your life. If you master that moment, trust me, that's going to be a reason for you to love and to fall in love with you a little bit more. Because you're going to walk out and you're going to say, look what you did. Look what you just did. And I believe that that is something that nobody can take from us. that sense of inner love and inner satisfaction because of how we suddenly act and how we surprise others by our behaviors. Like when they expect something and we show up as somebody totally different, that's really fun to watch.
That is so powerful. Up next, let's go to another live question. Peter, if you want to come up and ask your question. You're on mute.
You hear us, Peter? So you just need to unmute yourself.
It's the bottom left of the screen. Peter, we're still having a hard time hearing you. If you can go to unmute in the bottom left.
Or maybe you want to put your question on the chat and then we go with another question and then we go back to yours. Can do that? Probably, Sophia.
Yeah, let's go to Diane next. And Peter, I'll invite you to come up after Diane, or you can send the message in the chat and we'll read it aloud. Diane, if you want to come off of mute. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much. I am, I would say, really new to Dr. Joe's work. I've read, listened to the books and done the progressive and listened to all the interviews, and I've done that over and over again. I started in April and I came to this work with a health diagnosis is what brought me here. I attended Dallas, was my first event, and then I was at the advanced follow-up in Marco Island. I started meditating and really it was just such an aha thing about changing your life and just everything needing to change. And I was just all in. I'm still all in. I was meditating 2 times a day consistently up until Dallas. And I kind of got the message, don't focus as much on healing, focus it more on change. And I started meditating 3 times a day, which I'm still doing. I've had some incredible experiences. I've had some of the things that you were just talking about where you catch yourself and you recognize, and I've been able to manifest a couple of things with a lot of issues happening and just a happy person, like have a life again. These are all great things. 2 things that I'm not sure about are, one, if I am now focusing in this direction and things are so amazing, and they are, I have a new life. I'm so grateful. I'm not seeing healing for what I originally came for. And it makes me question whether I'm not doing something right. I'm missing something, although I have had some breakthroughs just in the last week where I just feel so much joy. And I can feel this energy in like 6, 7, and I even feel 8. I can feel it throughout the day. One night I would wake up during the night and just with a smile on my face, I could feel this energy. So I don't know if I'm on a better track. So I'm trying to,
Yeah,
better.
I hear that question. And then the second one, you said you have to.
Yeah, the second one is, I do have moments, especially like at Marco, where I really see images and pictures, and I saw fractal patterns and colors. And I don't know if it was just as the person was talking about the energy of the event. I don't see as much of that. And I don't know if I focus too much on that. And, if that takes away, I think I'm still really new. I just want to not feel fear over the health and the healing, because I want to stay on this path. Any suggestions for me or thoughts?
Okay. Awesome sharing, Diane. Thank you for being vulnerable and for sharing with us your path and then your struggles. So the first thing, in a very loving way, I have to tell you, and this comes to me too, when we start doing this work, and for me, every day is a new start. If we want to create something, and if we start looking and see if it's happening, and if it's not, the answer is, you know what, Maria? You know what, Diane? You're not that good. I'm not that good. And we just need to keep on practicing. And we just need to keep on practicing. That's the first thing. Secondly, you are at the edge of your beliefs. You're at the edge of that old you, with the challenges, with the conditions, with the health issues. And then there's a moment where you're going to have to start heading into this new you. And I believe you're doing it. You're doing such a great job. You're practicing gratitude. You're practicing joy. So you're practicing elevated emotions that are giving your body chemicals that are really good for your own biology. Now, if we are only 5% conscious and 95% of who we are is a set of memorized and unconscious thoughts, behaviors, emotional reactions that have been acquired just by repetition for all these years, I mean, this is a lifetime journey. This never-ending process of observing, of, self-regulating, of noticing this program here and there, and it's like peeling an onion, but it's my onion is like unlimited. You have no idea how many layers I've been peeling and peeling in all these different aspects of my life. So it's a never-ending process. But as you continue with your North Star, with your intention of, okay, I am going to change. That's all I'm going to do. The health, that's the part that you have to surrender. That's the part where you have to, just drop and take the control out. Imagine how much freedom you can experience when you let go, because there's something greater than you that is taking care of that. Because there's your autonomic nervous system that knows way better than you how to heal your body, with all due respect. Your body is so wise. Our body, our brain, we have the perfect pharmacy of chemicals, and our body knows how to do its thing. We just need to get out of the way. And you're smiling, so I think you got it.
I do. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, Peter, I see you're muted now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, I would like to thank you for this platform, because it is my first time to be with you. So I work with children who are vulnerable and experience difficult circumstances, and we save them, because these are children are losing hope. So my question is, there are some times when we met with us children at the center, when you look them, that just look like they have a fear. Yeah, they have a fear. But when you're starting to ask about the she or he problems, they just starting crying. They just show that they have no any choice on this world. So this problem is very challenging to me, and I would like to ask you for the how can I overcome this problem for these children, because the looking that they are fearing. When you start to ask me about maybe the problem which faced them, they're just crying. So it was very challenging to me. So I need a mini advice. How can I save them or overcome that problem to the children?
Wow, Peter. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for what you are doing. So what I heard, because there's some echo, is that you would like to find best or better ways to help kids to self-regulate.
Yes.
Okay. One, I believe, one important, and for me, this is what fascinates me about working with younger minds, is that
Yes.
for us as adults, our
Yes.
programs are way more rooted because we have been practicing, we have been conditioning our body for more and more years. Kids, they are younger. So whatever programs they have, whatever they have been exposed, however they have been conditioned, they are like, the roots are younger. I
Yes.
see them like younger trees. You can actually take a young tree, a small plant, and you can take it out and plant it in a better place. That's how I see the kids. Now, I believe that the one of the greatest gifts that you could give to those kids is showing them how you can actually self-regulate. And they will probably feel attracted to you because they have their hearts more open. And with that, you could probably establish little games of this, like build from these few steps that I shared at the beginning. Okay, let's sit, let's take a breath, let's close our eyes, all of that, like steps to get into coherence, but by you becoming the example of that, by you showing how to do that. The other part of that, Peter, is, and I believe this could be like a bigger conversation that we could have on another space. But then the other thing that I would say is, when you feel fear or when you feel frustration, in this case because of their condition, then there's some work that you should do, Peter, by taking care of that. If you start changing frustration for, let's say, pride for those kids, if you start changing fear or, I don't know, hopelessness for these kids, or worry for these kids, and instead of that, you connect to an emotion that is way more powerful, and that actually, if you are able to see them as remarkable adults overcoming their past and becoming the leaders of their communities and really, really being an example of the world, and you being part of that, then you are changing that glue that connects you with them into something greater. And you start changing the energy in this environment that you have the blessing to be part of. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And it would
Sound
be
good.
lovely to connect with you on the side. So please leave us your contact. I think it's very, very special.
For our next question, we'll go to another one that was submitted. And this one is around the topic of grief. I am a grief educator and work around people who are in a very dark place every day. My work requires very focused energy, and I am at a computer all day. What are your suggestions in regards to creating a higher frequency when my mind has to be focused on grief?
Okay, there is, Sophia and I, we have been working for some good time together, and we have created like our own kind of quotes that we always circle back on. And Sophia shared with all of you one at the very beginning of this call, when she says that what you resist persists. The other one that we have is, what if instead of absorbing what is around us, we just become the observers of that? So for those of you, for those of us that we work with other people and not with machines, we are subject to their energy. We're just exposed to their own reality. And if we can barely, navigate our own lives, I think if we master becoming the observers rather than the absorbers of other people's life, thoughts, emotions, I believe, even though it may sound a little bit selfish, it's actually the opposite. We cannot serve by becoming the allies, or let me use another word. We cannot serve by becoming the cheerleaders of other people's drama, and even when they have every single reason to be there. But by becoming the observers and inviting them to partner with us as their own observers, I think we can definitely serve them better, because we are at a higher energy. And we know that the higher the energy, then there's a different level of consciousness. And if we can see things differently, there's always a way out. There's always a better way to experience life, even in this part which has to do with grief, which is probably, if not the most difficult one that we have to experience as human beings.
Thank you, Maria. And for our next question, let's go to another live one. Shweta, if you want to come off of mute.
Hi. Thank
Hey,
you.
Shweta.
Hi. So I will be asking this question on behalf of my teenage son. We have both been doing the progressive and intensive course. We started in March, and ever since we have both been practicing meditations. So there was some health issue because of which he got the emotions of fear. And right now he's trying to overcome that, and I can see the progress that he's making. Now, one of his doubt was he's a super ambitious kid. He wanted to know if he has multiple new potentials that he wants to tune into. How should he go about it? Because he can probably do only one, maximum 2 meditations in a day. So he wanted some guidelines around that.
What's your son's name?
His name is Avi. We also were very blessed
Avi.
to get a remote coherence healing for him. And it
Okay.
was really wonderful experience.
Okay, first of all, send Avi all of our love and respect, because having a teenager
you.
asking these questions, I think that is awesome. That's an
Thank
example
you.
of someone that is going to change our world. So
Thank you so much.
now, when we want to create, of course, we have this, we want to tune into this potential, and we want to tune into this other potential, and then into this other. What I would suggest, again, as a student, is to tune into the frequency, actually the frequency of opportunities, just tuning into those opportunities. Which are those? He knows, but which is the one that the universe is gonna pick? That's up to the universe. So it's a really interesting game, especially for the mind of a teenager, that they want to just own the world. And I believe that is beautiful. I have a couple of teenagers, so I know, but it's just tuning into the basic. It could be the frequency of opportunities. It could be the frequency of the genius, if he also has some good grades that he wants to get. If he wants to tune into the frequency of, I don't know, traveling around the world, if he wants to tune into the frequency of wealth, if he wants to tune into the frequency of impactful work, And then in that frequency and hanging out in that frequency with a coherent heart and a coherent brain, the more he dips into that frequency has information. That information, he's going to access that information when he meditates, and that information is going to come and it's going to start showing up in the best way for him. And that's another never-ending process. It's a fun journey. It's like getting on a roller coaster without trying to predict, but just buckling up and feeling excited and grateful for the mother that he has and for the work that he is now into, I would say.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
Sophia, I see something important that Joel actually texted. How can you know those frequencies? If I may add a little bit about that. So we are creating in two worlds. We create in the 3D world and we create in the 5D world. In the 3D is we just take action. We need to show up at that appointment. We need to send our curriculum. We need to just do things. When we create from the 5D, we have to relax, and to get into the quantum, we do not get there as our body, as our identity, as our personality. We only get there as a thought, because in the quantum field, everything exists as a thought. And that means if I have the intention, I'm going to tune into the frequency of love, it's just with the thought of tuning into that frequency and staying there and finding it and looking for it and falling in love with it and just hanging out in that frequency, that's all you have to do. Everything in the quantum exists as a thought, but we cannot get there as a somebody, as me, as my identity. So I hope that answers your question. And that's why it's unlimited, because you can think of any thought.
Thanks for adding that, Maria. Up next, we have time for about 2 more questions. And since we have a lot of hands raised, we'll do the remaining for the session live. So Harita, if you want to come up to have your question answered, and then Michelle will finish things off with you today before we jump into the meditation.
Hi, everyone. My question is, I've been doing Dr. Joe's work for several years now. I've been to a couple of retreats, and I'm actually heading to one soon in Orlando with my younger brother. I have been facing some health issues, and I've been experiencing some deeper meditations as of recently. I have trouble sustaining my energy levels throughout the day in my waking state. And I feel really great after the meditations for about like an hour or two, and then it kind of dips down. And I try to do about 2 to 3 meditations a day. Do you have any advice for being able to sustain the energy that you feel in the meditations throughout the day, as you're not fully tuning in every single moment of your day?
I hear you, Marita, and it's going to be lovely to see you here in Orlando next week. Let me ask you one question. When you get out of the meditation and you say that your energy dips down, have you noticed what is that thing that gets in the way, that pulls you back?
It's probably the environment. I guess there was also a follow-up question is,
The
I live
freaking
with family, and I think, I'm the only one that does this work, and that's why I'm really excited to bring my younger brother. He's only 25, and I think he could really benefit from this work. But I live with other people, and they're not practicing this work. So you're surrounded by lower vibrational frequencies. So it's really hard mentally to be able to, keep your energy levels at that sustained level. So I try to do it in the morning and evenings, the best I can. And it's great. It's fantastic. But I notice the dips throughout the day, maybe a couple hours later.
Okay, wonderful. So there are 3 things that always come in the way on our path to change, to health, to transformation. And those three things are our environment, meaning the people in our lives, the place that we live in at certain times, at certain places, the body, the condition, the diagnosis, the pain, the discomfort, the craving, and time. I don't have time. I don't have time to meditate, all of that. So I see that your environment is probably the big one. But you know what, Parita? Now you know that it's your environment that is pulling you back. And it's not about not feeling frustrated in front of your environment and the people in your life. It's really for how long are you going to react? Because I believe they're pretty predictable. I believe that the things that those people around you, what triggers you from them, it's always the same thing. So if you now know what triggers you, what if you choose not to react? Why? Because you're here for something bigger. You're here for something greater. And of course, it's so good to be right. It's so good to react to something that feels unfair or that is judgmental. But what if you don't?
That's a great point. I really liked what you said about being the observer and not the absorber.
And maybe, you know, we need to play with our body. So maybe you buy some mints, Tic Tac, something. In the moment you are with that person, you eat one of those and you say, as long as this lasts in my mouth, I will not react because my focus is on that little Tic Tac, you know? I don't know. Just
you.
play with that. And you have such a beautiful smile. Just play with that. It doesn't matter. They don't know. They don't have to know what you're doing. But you know, and we know.
Thank you.
Okay.
And for our last question today, let's go to Michelle.
Hi, thank you. My question is more about falling off the wagon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfectly well.
Okay. My issue is, so I've attended like a 3-day at Denver, and I used to be a Healy virtually when you guys did that program.
The
But
remote,
my
yes.
yeah, and that was good. My issue is I fell off the wagon, if that's how you want to say it. How do you advise us from, you know, because I started it again a month ago and I don't want to fall off again. How do you like maintain that? And I like Parita's question too, because my environment is also very low energy. I hang out with friends who are very depressed and anxious people and on a daily basis. And I forget that we do absorb their energy. So,
Right.
yeah. And how do you, what would you advise us so that we keep up with the work? If that makes sense, is my question.
Yes, Michelle. Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to try to be brief to see if we can bring Terry so we don't leave her hand raised, but let's try in this next 3 minutes. So
Okay.
when you started doing this work, Michelle,
Yes.
what engages you when you start doing this? You know yourself, either watching videos or a movie or reading a book or knowledge, science, if you can think of something.
Yes. What motivates me?
Yes.
Reading
What
his book,
sparks that?
his
Reading.
audio book. So I have PTSD and depression, and I was on a lot of meds. It was Dr. Joe that got me off all those meds. And I was really yeah, so knowledge I think is super powerful, but it's only potential power, right? Like
Right. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So
Yeah.
with that, this is what I would suggest.
Okay.
As your partner in this, as your partner, learning new information is very important. And remembering that information
That's hard.
is as important. Yeah. But you know, just grabbing a book, one of the, that's your treasure. And you're gonna go over it again. That's one thing. The other, and this is what data shows, when you can sustain an elevated emotion, and when you can activate your heart center, it resets the baseline from trauma and from emotional experiences from the past. So I would say start studying with your book and start practicing heart coherence through any of these meditations, or just by placing your attention on the heart and going through the different steps. It's going to happen, but you have to be patient. And you know that we have you in our hearts.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sophia, do we have 30 seconds for Terry?
Yes, of course. Terry,
Hi,
wanna
how are
wrap
you?
up?
And I can make the question quick. It's the pineal gland breath. If I could get a little bit more guidance on that, when Dr. Joe says to start squeezing hard all the way up, I can squeeze so hard that I feel a lot of pressure in my head. And so I'm not sure if I'm quite doing it right.
Oh my God, that is a deep question. And it is more of a practice, I would say. But the most important thing when you do the breath, if you want to activate the pineal gland, because the pineal gland is like that antenna that allows you to draw information from the field. And it's an amazing feeling. Maybe, and 50% of the breath is in the act, the contracting, the pulling from the perineum all the way up to the brain. But the other 50% is the passion that you put in it, is the intention. So you can combine those. If you're starting to get very, very, like you feel it's too strong, maybe you lower a little bit the physical, and you put more attention on the intention.
Okay. Thank you.
And you let us know how it goes.
I'm going to keep practicing.
Yeah.
Awesome. We had some great questions today, and I always enjoy getting to be an observer of these sessions because I'm always get so much out of Maria's knowledge and your insights into this beautiful work. So thank you everybody for your insightful questions, and we'll be doing another one of these sessions in 2 months. So if you have things come up over the next few weeks, rest assured these will continue. And we always like to wrap these up and close things with a meditation. So like I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to do Dr. Joe's Generating Joy. So if you want to spend about 30 seconds, get your eye mask, get comfortable. We will give you some time to get situated, and then we'll kind of get into things.
Eyes closed. Take a breath. For love into your heart. And exhale. And relax. Into your heart. Feel it. Notice it. Your heart. And breathe a little love into your heart. And exhale. And relax. Into your heart. breathe in for love into your heart. And exhale. And relax. And let a little more love into your heart. And breathe for love into your heart. And exhale. And relax. And let love into your heart. And let the thought of someone you love bring up the feeling of love. In your heart. Feel it. Hold them in that feeling. In your heart. Hold them in your heart. Feel it. Now put their heart in your heart. And feel your love for them. In your heart. That's your love. You're giving them. In their heart. Feel it. That's energy. In your heart. That's energy. In their heart. That's your energy. In their heart. That's love. Your love. In their heart. That's love. In your heart. Feel it. Experience it. Enjoy it. That's the love you want them to feel. In their heart. Feel it. In your heart. Feel your connection to them. In your heart. One heart. That's love. In one heart. Feel it. And become one. In your heart. That's love. Your love. For their heart. That's your love. In your heart. Feel it. In your heart. That's energy. In your heart. That's a little more oneness. In your heart. That's your connection. To love. In your heart. That's the feeling. You want people you love to feel in their heart. And remember, this feeling know it by heart. That's life. In your heart. Who do you want to be? When you open your eyes, in your heart, feel it. Your heart. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And come back to the realm of space and time. Remember, there's love in your heart.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed that meditation. So, as I mentioned, we do these sessions every other month with our wonderful Maria Hincapie. Our final one of 2024 is going to be in December. And in November, we'll be doing a learning session, kind of celebrating the work that's been done in some of our programs this year. So, that learning session will conclude with a live meditation as well, and we'll send out the information for that over email and would love to see you all there. I shared in the chat a link to our donation page of our website. As you guys know, our biggest mission here at Give to Give is bringing this work to the people and places that need it the most. So if you have been moved and impacted by Dr. Joe's work and want to support bringing his tools and similar modalities to communities in need, feel free to utilize that link and support in whatever way you feel called. And I just wanted to take the time and thank you guys all again for being here today. Thank you for your insightful questions. Thank you for doing the work, because as each of us put in the work to change ourselves and to show up differently in the world, that in turn changes our world. So the impact of that really can't be overstated. And just by doing here and by showing up, you are well on your way to becoming your best and most aligned self. So thank you all. Thank you, Maria, and we'll see you in November.